year 2000 celebrations. In fact, we were in place for the 31st of December 1999, and we were going to stay here for just 1 year. And the idea was that after 1 year, they were going to take the whole wheel apart, and they were going to tour it around the big and principal cities of Britain. So the wheel was to be originally on the move around the country. Now, after about a year, they decided that 런던아이 had become so important to the skyline of London and was so accepted that it would be a shame to move us on. And so we have permanent planning permission to stay here. And in fact, gradually, they've been renewing our structure. Our structure originally had a life of 25 years. It now has a life for 80 years. And all the capsules were recently renovated prior to the Olympic Games in London. So they've given a longer lifespan to 런던아이. It was the idea of two people, David Marks and Julia Barfield, who are a husband and wife team of architects. In fact, they put the design for this wheel into a competition in the Sunday Times to create a big landmark for London. But at some point, the Sunday Times decided that the design was not good enough, and they simply threw it out of the contest and didn't want anything to do with it, which was a bit of a shame. So the architects decided to keep the idea to one side, and they kept trying to find someone to give them money to make 런던아이. When that happened, it was to be British Airways. And I don't know if any of the young people on board want to have a little guess at how much it cost to make rondonái. Yes, here we go.
I usually think before, after I raise my hands.
Oh, right.
I usually think after.
You think afterwards. That's quite a good way of doing it, though. It means you're always willing to answer. How much do we think it costs to make 런던아이? What's got the ideas? How many millions do you think it costs? Any ideas? No? Yeah, you're a bit high, but you're on the right track. It's £75 million to create 런던아이. Okay, most of that came from British Airways, in fact, who were the very first sponsors of the Eye. So once they got the money together, they could go into the phase of constructing the wheel, and different parts were made in different countries. So we're going to do a bit of a European tour now as well. Capsule you are in was made in France. It was made in Grenoble by the company Poma, who make chairlifts for the Alps ski resorts. You've got in the centre of the wheel iron and steel, and that came from the Czech Republic. You've got cable work from Italy. You also have Venetian glass, so Italian glass, non-reflective. When we get to the very top, we're going to take panoramic views. The architects were British, as were most of the engineers. There were some Dutch engineers and American engineers too. So it was a really big international project. And what they did was they brought the parts of the wheel down the River Thames on the Thames longboats. And ahead of us here, they had a massive floating platform. And they actually assembled this wheel lying flat on the surface of the water. So 런던아이 was actually lying down originally. They kind of clipped it together a bit like a big Meccano set. Very safe one, but it was a bit like that really. And then they got two of the biggest power cranes in the world, came from America for the occasion, pulled the wheel into its standing position. Now, since we've been in operation and we first took the guests on board in March of 2000, we see an average number of guests between 3.5 and 4 million guests a year on 런던아이. Obviously with special years like Paralympics, Olympic Games and the Diamond Jubilee, that goes right the way through the roof, and the numbers go up and up and up and up. But that's our average guest year. Very popular for weddings. Anyone think you're getting married around here?
They get married
in here. Yeah, you have the wedding ceremony. And you also have like a little reception with the champagne as well, which is great fun. Also, yes?
I was wondering, when you first said it, you said that you were going to actually move the 런던아이.
We were.
How were you going to move this big wheel?
Yeah, exactly. They were going to take it apart. It's made so that you can take the eye piece by piece apart and transport it wherever you like. As long as you've got enough lorries to transport it up and down the country. But you can do it. It is amazing, isn't it? It's an amazing thought. So there we are. So lots of things happen here. Birthday parties, media, lots of filming capsules. I do a lot of those. That's my job really. And so you're going to bump into here. So yeah, we're going to start doing that next. So you're going to bump into here. Justin Bieber, looked after him twice. Selena Gomez, looked after her. They didn't come on the same day. One Direction, all from the reality TV shows, The Voice, The X Factor, the soap operas, basketball players' wives, they were one of the last ones to come in. You don't know who it's going to be here at the London Eye. Okay, we've got to a decent height now, so we're going to start to look out. And we're going to look northwest to begin with. That's that one. Okay, do come forward to the windows because I'd love everyone to be able to see clearly. Okay, so as we first look out, the first thing you see are the Golden Jubilee Bridges. They link up towards Charing Cross Station. You can see the trains waiting at the station there. Over the top of the station, you have the dome of Charing Cross Station, designed by Terry Farrell, made to look a bit like a train coming through an archway. And it was in that building that they actually filmed the Diary of Bridget Jones, #1. All the office sequences were filmed above Charing Cross Station. If you go along the way, you see a white building with a clock face. That is the Shumack's House. And Shumack's House has the largest clock face of London. It's 2 centimetres in diameter, bigger than Parliament Clock, in fact. There you are. So you've got a comparison, but it is bigger than Parliament Clock. In front of it stands the oldest thing you'll see along the Thames, and that is Cleopatra's Needle. It's a pointed, sticking up piece of obelisk stone. It was given to Britain by the Viceroy of Egypt way back in the 1700s, and in fact it used to stand outside a temple in Tammuz. It was one of a pair. The other one of the pair of the Cleopatra's Needle is in Central Park, New York now. It's given to the people of America. Looking straight over, you have a second bridge, which is a Waterloo Bridge. And Waterloo Bridge we call the Ladies' Bridge.
I'm listening.
So, anyone like to wonder why it might be called a Ladies' Bridge? Why is the second bridge over called a Ladies' Bridge? Yeah. Well, there you are, there's an answer for you. Not a bad try, but it's really because that bridge was made by ladies, it was built by ladies.
Oh, wow.
It was in the Second World War, the men were fighting the war, the ladies built the bridge for us. What they did was rather clever. They, in fact, used Portland stone, and Portland stone is self-cleaning. Every time it rains in London, the top of the bridge gets a bit of a wash because of the chemical reaction of rainwater to Portland stone. So in fact it's the world's self-cleaning bridge, the first one ever. Rather good of the ladies, isn't it, to do that? Good.
Sir?
Yes?
I see several, dozens of, not scaffoldings, cranes. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of construction.
Lots and lots. In fact,
they're all
we're going to start looking at the more modern buildings as well when we go on to the eastern side. But there is building going on in London all the time. Originally, there is something called St Paul's Grid Law, which is a river law. It's not a land law, but it means that you can't build so high that we can't see the dome of St Paul's Cathedral from the river. So that law exists. However, behind St Paul's, the City of London Corporation are giving out permits to build left, right and centre really. So it's not as protected as it once was, which is a shame, isn't it? There you go. Okay, let's go and look at the cathedral together, because we've got to the right height for that now. I always like to judge it so you get the best photos, you see. Best height. Here we come. So looking across the river, you have the dome of St Paul's Cathedral. That is the third Cathedral of St Paul's. 2 of them disappeared in fires. The second one disappeared in the Great Fire of London. Anyone know when the Great Fire of London was? Earlier than that. Good try. 1666, there we go, Great Fire of London. So when the fire came, they burnt the old cathedral, because the old cathedral was made entirely of wood. And they do say that it disappeared within the space of 2 hours. It was just a pile of ashes, and that was it. Smouldering ashes. When they decided to rebuild London, they asked a man called Sir Christopher Wren to be the architect of the redesign of London. Now, the thing about Sir Christopher was that he wasn't really an architect by training. He was an accountant. But he gave us 58 London churches, St Paul's Cathedral, the Treasury Building. He really produced an amazing piece of work for London. Because he was passionate about architecture. They do say he got the job of redesigning London because his wife was friendly with the Prime then there were little arrangements going on. That's what they say, but certainly made a splendid job of it. If you go to the top of the cathedral, go to the dome, go to the very top up there, you can go to the Whispering Gallery, and if you speak or whisper, the echo comes back to you, which is great fun. You can also, if you're looking around in the cathedral, there's a big plaque, and it's Sir Christopher Wren's plaque, and it says, if you're looking for a memorial for me, look around you, which is quite a nice statement to make about his cathedral. He did live to see the last brick placed on his cathedral. It was in 1711 that the cathedral was finished, and by that time Sir Christopher Wren was 91 years old, which was incredibly old back then in the 1700s, to be 91. You know, most people, you know, the poor people certainly were dying at 50, and maybe slightly richer people were dying at 60. You know, but to be 91, my goodness, that was an incredible age. So there is Sir Christopher Wren's cathedral. Now I did promise you that we'd look out some modern structures. As we look straight ahead, we see the newest, tallest building of London. That is the Shard of Glass, or Shard just for short. And it is 300 metres high. At the top you have some viewing platforms. Just a little bit lower down you have 3 restaurants. You then have several floors of apartments, and the apartments retail at the moment at £46 million each.
Oh.
Okay, that's the cheapest.
Oh, 46.
46 million.
Oh, 46.
Yeah, and it's a whole floor of the Shard of Glass. So there you go. Let me tell you, they were sold twice over at least before they were even built. The deal for making the Shard was actually signed on these capsules with the architects, the builders. We do another bit.
Okay.
We're coming, isn't it?
We're at the top.
Yeah. So, you know, the Shard of Glass, also you have a Shangri-La hotel in there, the first one in the UK, and lower down you've got some offices. Good place to go on a very bright sunny day to look out, but it's all about perspectives and distance. With the eye or on the move, you feel close to buildings. With the Shard, you're really looking for distance, so you go on a hot sunny day. Also looking at the modern buildings, you have the one we like to call walkie-talkie, just over to my left here. It's got a couple of aerials on the top, looks a bit like a walkie-talkie. And alongside it, building with a slanted edge, that's the cheese grater. So those are the newest additions to our skyline. Right, we've got to the top now. We're at 135 metres high, and I'm going to give you some time to take those panoramic views. This is a very important moment. And then we'll gather on the western side and we'll look over there. Just down here, actually. You can still see it. So, in fact, you're still so you look straight across, you can see it's sticking up. It's kind of white piece of stone with black around it and 2 doggies either side, 2 dogs either side. So you go past the railway bridge, and you can just see it now. Yeah, that big, yeah, in front of the white building with the clock, there's a big piece of stone pointing out, and that's the Cleopatra needle. And the thing about Cleopatra's needle, where the clock is, yeah, and the thing about Cleopatra's needle is it has a time capsule in the bottom with objects, but they weren't objects from the Egyptians' time, they were added much later by the Victorians who came in the 1800s. So they put their time capsule in the bottom. And one day someone's going to open that and have a look inside. Doesn't say. They just leave it in the bottom. And then one day they'll say, whatever they decide, and it might be you. Go and ask the British Museum if you can do it. That would be good. That's a business Here we come. So looking straight out on the western side, you have, first of all, the first thing you really notice are the royal parks. You have St James's Park, Green Park, the furthest one away is Hyde Park. In the middle of the parks you have the waterway, which is the St James's Lake. And in fact it's all that's left above ground is really old river. That river was called Tyburn, and Tyburn River used to float at Marble Arch. And at Marble Arch, in the days of public executions, they had the hanging tree and the gallows. So it's quite a sinister history really, a little piece of water. Now in the middle of the parks you've got the Golden Angel statue, and then you have Buckingham Palace. residents of Her Majesty the Queen. Recently, they were excavating underneath the palace and they found a tiber does pass underneath the palace. So the palace is built on water. The way you would know if the Queen is in the building is by the flag that's flying. If it's the Royal Standard, which has yellow in it, you can see the colour yellow on the palace, then it means the Queen's there. If you see the red, white and blue of the Union flag, that means she is not in the building. You can go and visit Buckingham Palace in the summer months. You can buy yourself a ticket to go inside, which is great fun. You only see certain state rooms. But one of the things you realise when you walk around is that Buckingham Palace is not a home. It really is not. It's somewhere for receiving your official guests and welcoming them. And that's probably why the Queen prefers to live off in Windsor or maybe Balmoral in Scotland or Sandringham, her Norfolk estate. The last person to really live in Buckingham Palace for any length of time would have been Princess Margaret, who was the Queen's sister. Also Prince Andrew had an apartment there for a little while. But it's not really a home as such, it's a place for official visitors and very impressive indeed. Let's look over at Parliament now. We're at a good height for doing Parliament, yes.
What is the, with the courtyard right there?
Right, that is Horse Guards Parade. Now, Horse Guards Parade, if you come to see the changing of guard ceremonies, if you miss out by not being there at 11 at the Palace, come down as the Guardsmen parade down the Mall onto the courtyard there, and they do a second ceremony. Okay? There's also a ceremony on the other side of the Horse Guards Barracks, which is 1, 2, 3 green turrets. That's about 4 o'clock, and they change the horses. And they let a certain number of the public in the courtyard, and you can take the photos. That's really worthwhile doing. So they do show off quite a lot.